So without further ado, we're going to get into our next guest. Again, Lorraine has put this whole show together.
With Jen Elkers.
Okay, but
salute,
I mean, as far,
to the lady.
But I'm saying as far as like on the show, though, I didn't put the show together.
Yeah.
I'm giving you your props. So
Thank you.
Lorraine is the co-producer of this show. She co-produced this show.
I'm giving you an invoice afterwards.
Okay. So would you like to introduce the next guest now?
Yes, the next guest is I'm really, really excited.
Okay.
That she's here and that she's running. Miss Verris Shako, she is the nominee from one of the. I remember I said there's 3 slots and there's 5 people running. She's one of the Democratic nominees running for this spot.
Okay. Welcome to the show.
Welcome, Princess.
Thank you for having me.
Yes.
Well, I'm really, really excited because.
Shout to Jen Elkins. She's tuned in right now.
Hi, Jen.
She's
And
amazing.
Wayne Robinson Sr., my cousin. What's up, cuz? Go ahead.
We have an African-American woman running for judge.
Yes. So let me
Do
ask you a
you
question.
know how exciting
Well,
that
let me
is?
ask you a question. Have we had any African Americans on the Yonkers City Court yet?
No.
Men, we
Yonkers,
have,
no, not African American women.
not
Okay.
women,
We've
not
had
women.
3 African American men.
So just so you know, if y'all were to elect her, she would be the first
She would be the first,
African-American
yes.
woman to serve on the Yonkers City Court.
Yes.
Okay, there you go. So
A lot to be proud of.
So tell us who you are, not the candidate, but who you are.
Okay, well, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. My name is Verris Shako, and not the candidate, huh?
Yes.
So I am a mom.
Okay.
I have a 4- and 6-year-old. I was really involved in just PTA stuff and
Okay.
Girl Scout stuff. I've had my own practice for since 2009.
Okay.
So this will be 15 years.
What kind of law did you practice?
I've always practiced criminal defense.
Okay.
And so I've done that for the last 15 years, and I've consistently worked in Yonkers City Court for that time and other courts here in Westchester and New York. And I also do family court. So I do the custodies, the visitations, the neglects, the, termination. So I see how, it can really impact people's lives when the government gets involved, families get separated, and, how that can really have a negative impact, and how parents, through services, can really work to get their families back together. So that's kind of always been my passion. I think I grew up in Mount Vernon, like you.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Yeah. And since I was a teenager, I just wanted to be a lawyer. So I finished high school, college, law school, and I remember going on an interview and trying to chase the money and saying, I don't want to do this. I want to serve my people. I want to follow my passion. I called up the Legal Aid Society and took a job there. They assigned me to Yonkers City Court.
Oh, how cool.
And that was 2005. It's 2020, and I'm still going there consistently representing members of my community, making a difference one person at a time. And I wanted to continue on. And there's an opening on the bench. It's not that we're trying to get rid of someone who's there. There's an opening. Someone new will be placed there. So I said, why not someone who's been in the courts for the last 15 years, committed to serving the community, getting that opportunity. So I worked really hard at it, worked hard at getting the nomination, and I was successful. I'm the first African-American woman to be nominated to run for Yonkers City Court Judge.
There you go. So how do you feel your work in the court up to this point will help you
transform,
become a great judge?
I think it gives me perspective as to the people who will come before the court and what their issues are. I think after working with people for this long, what I've always respected about Yonkers and the judges in Yonkers, I just want a judge who will take the time to listen, and treat the litigants with respect and patience and just hear them out. And I've seen judges who've not given people what they want, but treated them in such a way that they felt like they had their chance to be heard in court. And I think that's what it's about. No matter what part of Yonkers you're from, no matter your social economic status, you should be treated the same. And I think that's the work I've been fighting for the last 15 years. That's what I've been fighting to do for my clients, and that's what I'll bring to the bench, an ability to listen to the people that come before me.
Now, the last candidate that was here, one of the things I said in our community, the Black and Brown community, there's a saying. They say that the justice is blind, but in our community, it seems like she peeks through under the blindfold before she rules, and sees as one of us, and then comes down hard. Why it's important to have an African American female in that position?
Because you have perspective.
Right.
You as a judge, you would be able to relate, and all judges should be able to relate to the people in front of them and see them as people and treat them the way they would want, someone they cared about to be treated. And I think that's what I would bring to the table. I've represented people from all backgrounds. I've represented people who had money, people who didn't have money, and everyone, parents who had their kids incarcerated from all different races and backgrounds. They just want to be treated fairly. They want to understand the process. They want to be treated with respect, and that's what I would bring to the table.
One more question, and Lorraine has put together a list of questions that you can ask judges. She pulled up, so I wanted you to find some questions you haven't asked yet to ask her, but I want to ask you first. So as we said, we feel, as African Americans and Latinos, we feel like we don't always get a fair shake from judges, especially the ones that don't look like us. So as an African American woman, in a world that is still racist and sexist, what if you had someone come to your court who, I don't want to say white supremacist, but had that attitude, towards us, and how could you be fair and impartial in a situation like that?
I think after doing this kind of work for 15 years, you encounter all kinds of people.
Okay.
From all different backgrounds.
Right.
And I think it's incumbent as a professional, as a lawyer, as a judge, not to lose your cool.
Right.
And if you find that you can't maintain it, then it's your responsibility to walk off the bench.
Okay.
So that's what I would do. I've kind of, I've done what I needed to do to remain professional. I think that's very important. And that's probably why I'm here today.
Right.
And so if you cannot do that, then I think you have to step aside. And, if you need to let someone know they've stepped outside the line, you do that. But you also have to maintain a level of professionalism.
So, again, and this is questions as an African-American woman I can ask you that I can ask the other judges. So I know one of the fear of those who don't look like us, of having us on the bench, they think we're just going to let all of us go. Could you be hard on an African American, but fair, and the same? But if one needed to, you need to come down, you can do that. And
I'm not just I'm a person of color, but I'm so much more.
Okay, right.
And I've been in the justice system,
right.
And I've seen that crime is not committed by one particular group of people.
Right.
It's just that in different communities, it's perhaps treated differently.
Right.
Is how we would say it. And I'm also invested in my community. I've lived here in Yonkers for the last 16 years.
Right.
I have a 4 and a 6-year-old. When I had time to go to the gym, I would go to the gym and I would look in my car, at 6 a.m. to make sure no one was waiting for me.
Right,
so safety is important to me too.
Right.
But also ensuring that people who are accused of crimes have a fair shot is equally important. So it's about balancing and listening to the evidence that comes before you and trying to make a decision based on the evidence and not rushing to judgment, taking your time, being patient, and giving people an opportunity to be heard.
I used to be a recording artist, a rapper back in the late 80s, early 90s. And
Strong Island.
they had started a program, the Manhattan Detention Center, I guess it was. They were starting to get entertainers to come in and perform. I guess there was a program they were trying to start. So we actually performed in there, and then we ate in the mess hall with them. And I will say, while I'm glad to never really have seen the inside of a jail, and I think there's too many of us in there that don't belong in there, there's definitely some people that belong in jail. Like, you say, thank goodness for this. There are some of my brothers and sisters that they belong there, and I got to see that first.
But it's not just your brothers and
right,
sisters.
Right. But all different colors, but there were some people I met that they belonged there. I was like, and there was some, there's some innocent people, but there were some people that you definitely knew belonged there. So I'm going to let Lorraine kick off some of the questions she had. She pulled up a list. If you can pull up maybe some of the questions you didn't ask yet, because you said it was 10 questions.
I want to ask this one. What is your general judicial philosophy?
After doing it so long, and I've seen judges from Judge Doran Sr. to Gaffney to Daly to Doran Jr. to Scatteratico to Graffio. I've seen them all. And that's just Yonkers. In-law, and that's just Yonkers. Yeah. Yonkers City. There's Yonkers Family. There's County Court. So, New Rochelle Family, New Rochelle City. I've been to just about every court in Westchester County. And I think I just want a judge. I like judges who are just patient, and read the case and know what's going on. Like when you go to your doctor's office, right? You want your doctor to know who you are, have read your file. I like judges who take the time, read the file, give you your time of day, listen to you, listen to the argument before they make a decision. That's what I like. And that's who I would be.
Go ahead, Lorraine.
I think that kind of leads to this question. What is your vision for the future of the judicial system, and what changes would you advocate for, and why, if there are any changes?
I definitely think we need more women on the bench.
I agree. 100%.
And, it's great to have our first Latina on the bench in Yonkers, who's the third female judge there. And I'm hoping I'll be the fourth female judge there. But I do believe in giving people an opportunity for rehabilitation when possible. If it's a reasonable alternative, I believe in options like that. I've, seen many parents, and seen them separated from their kids. And I think any and all possibilities where families can be safe together without being separated are good options. So things like that.
Go ahead, Lorraine.
This is a good question. Do you believe there's such thing as a victimless crime? We have to look in the internet for questions that we can ask you, because
you're coming up with these questions from the internet.
We know we can't ask you certain questions. So I went on the internet and I asked Google, what can I ask a candidate for judge, and that's acceptable.
Do I believe there's a victimless crime?
Yeah.
That's a good question.
That's a very good question. I'm trying to think of
what kind of offenses would you place in that category?
Then we wouldn't have that, right? We wouldn't have that offense or that crime if there was no victim.
Let me so let me ask you a question. So there was always a scenario, right? So a man is trying to feed his family. He doesn't have a job. He can't find work. He steals some groceries to feed his family because the family's starving. Would you consider that a victimless crime? Okay, because there's that argument.
That's not, because he's taking property that doesn't belong to him. The question is what the punishment should be. Should he go to jail because of this, or should we give him some other alternative? I've seen cases like that in real life, whether it was stealing groceries, from stores around here. So the store is entitled to it. The question is, what's the proper punishment for something like that?
And how do you feel about the bail reform? Like, if we had bail reform, Raynette Turner may still be alive in Mount Vernon. I think she stole $35 worth of crab legs, and she had some kind of medical condition, and she was kept in jail over the weekend until she went to court, and she died in jail. So I think with the bail reform, she wouldn't have been. If she would, and a lot of people, and I've talked to a lot of Mount Vernon police officers, because they said, there's a difference between how they give, they RRR. He said the officer who wants to remain nameless. He said he's seen rich white guys come in with just about almost like a trunk full of drugs they were caught with, and they get RRR because they have a rich father. And then like people like Raynette Turner was held in jail over the weekend because of $35 worth of crab legs or something like that.
Well, I'll say this. As a judicial candidate, obviously I can't say what my personal views are.
Right.
Whatever the law is, it's my responsibility
Right,
to follow it.
Right.
But I'm obviously, from my work, I am definitely motivated by anything that evens the playing field for all people, where
Okay.
everyone is treated fairly across the board. I think that's a good thing. So that's what I'll say.
For people that's just hearing about you, seeing you for the first time, just seeing you here, never heard of you before, Yonkers voters that are tuned in right now, website, social media,
Yep.
how can they find out more about you or donate to you or,
Yes.
find out?
So I have a Facebook page, which is Shako Campaign. That's SHAKO Campaign.
Yes.
And that's on Facebook. It's also Shako Campaign on Instagram. And I have a website, which is shako2020.com. Please come by and check it out. Friend me. I'd love to get the word out so people can know.
Yes, I think we're new friends on Facebook. I think.
Yes, we're all friends on Facebook.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to get the word out so we can move the process forward, let people know that I'm running, get them motivated, activated. We have a chance to make history here and elect the first African-American woman who has been serving the court for the last 15 years and the community for the last 15 years in Yonkers City Court. I have the time there. I have the experience. I've been involved in my community, and I would like to take the next step forward, and I would love to get the support of the community.
Now we've had like the Year of the Woman the last few years. It appears to be that way, and I've been very vigilant and diligent in saying that I don't believe we should vote for a candidate because they're white, or because they're black, or because they're woman. So why should they vote for you? Not be, I know the making history thing is beautiful, but that I feel like I've actually had I guess tell me that I was a sexist because I didn't support Hillary. I just didn't like her as a candidate.
Well, I'm not for the titles either,
Right.
but I have 15 years of experience in that court. I think Judge Daly's been there for 20 years. Other than that, I've been the longest serving,
Really?
working in that court, as far as I believe.
Wow, that's awesome.
So
That's pretty cool.
2005 until now, I've been practicing consistently in Yonkers City Court and other courts here in New York State. So I have the amount of time. I don't have to go in and learn the courts, learn the system. I know the players. I know how it works. And I bring the perspective of knowing how the court works and understanding, the dynamics of what happens in a courtroom or in the courthouse should I be elected.
Anything else?
How is the reception you're getting out there? Are you campaigning, knocking on doors? What are people saying?
People are happy. They're excited to hear that someone like me is a candidate for a change. People are happy. They're surprised that I've been practicing this long. They
So
say
you look young.
I look young, but I've been there. I mean, this was my passion. So once I got out of law school, this is what I started doing, and it's what I've consistently done. And it didn't affect everyone, but I feel like it made a difference in each and every client's life. And for me, that's meaningful enough. And that's why I said I want to take the next step forward and see what else I can do. So people are happy. I'm trying to get them motivated, make sure they come out to vote. Don't just be excited. Have that excitement come to the poll and make sure you vote so we can have the change that we want.
There's a couple of comments on here on the live stream. Delphin Hauser from the what is it?
Delphin.
What's it?
Useless.
Yonkers Insider.
Okay, yeah, the Yonkers Insider. No, just I'll get to them next. The Yonkers Insider said that Verris will make a great judge.
He's been saying that since day one. Hi, Del.
Well, if he's
Paul
right.
Anthony Cuesta said it's great to see a candidate who acknowledges that people that commit crimes come from all socioeconomic backgrounds. Shout out to Charles Stern, one of our guest co-hosts, Terrence Rock, Jeff Monroe, Keisha Nunn, Louise Sanchez, and I said Jan Elker. Any more questions? Is there anything I have not asked you that you want people to know about you? Your candidacy, you as the person, why they should vote for you, anything I haven't asked you yet.
Wait. I have a question. A quick question. It's a primary, right?
It's a primary.
When
We
is
have
the primary?
So the primary is June 23rd. We have 3
Okay.
seats available, 5 candidates vying for it. So we're going to have a primary, and it'll be the top 3 vote getters. So please come out and vote.
And why should you be one of those vote-getters?
Because I have the experience, I have the commitment, I will take my time, I will be fair, there will not be a rush to judgment, and I understand the perspective of the people that come before the court.
So I have two questions
That's a
that I
great
asked that have
answer.
nothing to do with, since there was a lack of things you can ask elected officials, and you may have heard me ask the other.
No sports,
the
please.
So if your house is on fire, you can only grab three things. What would they be?
Easy. My husband and 2 kids.
Aha, there you go. And if you were a superhero, who would you be and why?
Wonder Woman.
Everybody
Okay,
says Wonder
okay.
Woman, yeah.
Okay, I might have started out as a feminist before I became at like 11 or 12, annoying my family. So
Okay.
definitely Wonder Woman.
Why Wonder Woman?
Definitely I'm for women's rights, women being treated equally. And I think that really, like, I was that kid at like 11 or 12 saying a woman should have everything the man has. And then as like maybe 2 or 3 years later, that grew into everyone should be treated fairly. And I'm going to law school to make sure that happens.
Aha. Any last questions, Lorraine?
Just one quick question. How, because you know everybody, how are you going to handle a conflict of interest?
In terms of
When you're a sitting judge, somebody comes before you that you know.
Well, but, in addition to that, you've been working in the courts for 15 years. Someone
That's what I'm
comes
saying.
across
She's
the
gonna
judge,
know people.
Someone comes across while you're on the bench that you've been involved in their case. I mean, you've been involved in so many cases in Yonkers.
Yeah.
And relatives of people, and you know.
Well, if I feel that I can't be fair and impartial, or if I'll be biased, then I'll definitely step back and step aside. We've had other lawyers who practiced in the court become judges also.
Yeah.
You know, and that didn't prevent them. So I'm pretty fair. I'm pretty patient. I know right from wrong, and that's how I've practiced. And so if I feel like I can't do what I'm supposed to do and I'm not giving the person or whoever it is an equal shot, then I will gladly step aside. One thing I like about Yonkers is we have about 5 or 6 judges, so there's always another judge available.
So I know there's a lot of people that want to hear this fair and partial stuff. And they really feel there's a need for a lot of that. But there's some people that just want to know, when it comes down to it and there's the need to, can you throw the book? Can you be tough when you need to be tough?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
But that's what a judge does.
Yeah, but still, I know.
They
But
have
listen,
to.
there's two different things. You understand what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, a lot of judges are tough, and there's been said there's not enough people that's fair and partial, and you said a lot of that. But then there's that other set
Well,
of the population
fair and-
wants to know if you can still be tough.
Well,
You know
fair
what
and
I'm saying?
impartial doesn't mean soft.
Right, but
Fair
I
and
want to give
impartial
you a
mean-
chance to speak to that.
Yeah,
That's what
fair
I'm
and
saying.
impartial doesn't mean soft and you're walking away. Like I said, I'm a member of this community, and I'm a woman, and I have 2 kids here, and we want to be safe also. And I've seen enough in 15 years to know not everyone walks away scot-free, you know, but it's giving them what is appropriate in each and every case. And that does not mean everyone walks away, because if everyone walks away, we're not going to be in a safe community. It's doing what's fair in each and every situation as you go along.
My partner that I started the show with, and my partner in Black Westchester, Damon K. Jones, he's 30 years in Westchester Corrections, and he is also the head of Blacks in Law Enforcement of America. And one of the things he says is, you know, with the bail reform, a lot of the people were sitting in jail because they couldn't afford bail, but there were a lot of programs brought in, especially over the recent years, to help people. Now that these people will not be sitting in jail, you know, maybe we need to spend some of that money, some of these programs out in the street, you know, maybe even preventative measures to stop them from going there in the first place.
I agree.
Okay.
I
Any
agree.
thoughts on that?
Yeah, I agree. I think the services should be there. So, and I think not only will it'll prevent a rearrest, you know, and hopefully help this person to get on a path, you know, where they won't be coming to court anymore. So I think any services that you have in place that prevent recidivism, I think that's great.
And what do you say for the community?
And protecting the community.
Yeah, there's a lot of community that have no trust of law enforcement or the courts at this point. They feel like they failed us all along, and for those people,
And
you want
that's
them,
why-
you want them to
and-
vote for you.
Yeah, and that's why representation matters, making sure that you have people on the bench who understand, you know, everyone's perspective and sees everyone as being human, and, you know, having people that care about them and making sure that everyone across the board, not just a particular segment of the population, is treated fairly.
Last question. Go ahead, Lorraine.
They still have the tax program,
They still have to ask.
Do you know what? That program saved my life. Treatment alternatives to street crime when I was a teenager.
Really?
I got in trouble. They put me in the task program. Yeah. They took very good care of me.
Okay.
We'll have to talk about that.
Any last words?
No,
Anything again?
no,
I didn't
just
ask you.
Thank you for your time. I
Thank you.
appreciate it. And I just encourage everyone, spread the word and make sure you come out and vote on June 23rd.
And remember that she is the candidate, a designated candidate for the Yonkers Democratic Party.
You nominate the nominees.
One
One of the nominees. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations. We wish you well, and hopefully you'll come back when you make the ballot and when you get past the primary, and between the primary and the general election, we can talk to you some more.
She's coming back. We already got her.
Okay.
scheduled.
We'll talk to you
got
then.
this scheduled, all right.
All
Thank
right.
you so much. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
All right. Good luck with everything. It's good to see you, honey. Bye-bye, honey. Good luck. I'll see you out there. Yeah.